Hello and welcome. Our topic for the day is simplifying radical expressions, numbers only. Before we go on to simplify radicals, let's understand the steps involved in simplifying them. The first step is to find the prime factorization of the number inside the radical. We start by dividing the number by 2, that is the first prime number, and then continue dividing by 2 until we get a remainder. Then we move on to the next prime number, that is 3, 5, 7, and so on until only numbers left are prime. So the next step is we determine the index of the radical. The index tells you how many of the kind you need to put together to be able to move that number or variable from inside the radical to outside. For example, if the index is 2, that is it is shown by the square root symbol, then you need to do 2 of a kind, that is from inside we make pairs of 2 and bring them out as 1. And if the index is 3, that is cube root, written as like this with a 3 over here, then we need to move 3 of a kind to move from inside the radical to outside the radical. Then the next step is move each group of numbers or variables from inside the radical to outside, and if there are not enough numbers to be grouped, then we leave them as it is. And the last step is simplify the expression both inside and outside by multiplying. We multiply all the numbers and variables outside as well as inside to reach the final answer. Let's understand these steps with the help of the giving examples. The first question says simplify, and we're given negative 2 root of 18. So we write down negative 2 square root of 18. The first step is to write down the factors of 18. 18 can be divided by 2 as 9. Then this cannot be divided by 2, so we move on to the next prime number, that is 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 1. So we write negative 2, list down the factors, 2 times 3 times 3. Now here the index is 2. When there is no number over here in the radical, we take it by default as index 2. So we have to group or make pair of 2 each. So here inside the radical we see that only one pair can be formed of 2 3's. So these 2 3's comes out as a single 3, and negative 2 times 3. Inside the radical we are left with only number 2. Negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. So negative 6 root of 2 is the final answer. Let's move on to the next question for better understanding. The question says simplify, and we're given negative 3 fourth root of 162. That's how we read it. Negative 3 times the fourth root of 162. Here the index is 4. Let's see how we can use this in the question. First we'll do the prime factorization of 162. We start with the number 2. This is 8 and this is 1, 81. 81 doesn't goes in the table of 2, so we move on to the next prime number, that is 3. 81 can be divided by 3 as 27 times. This is 3 times 9, 3 and 1. So we have negative 3 fourth root of, we list down all the factors, 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That is all the 4 3's, 1, 2 and 4 3's. Now here the index is 4, so we'll make a group of 4 numbers inside the radical to move them outside. So these 4 3's will be combined together and they come out as 1, and we're left with fourth root of 2. Negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. So negative 9, we write down this as fourth root of 2. This is our final answer. That is negative 9 fourth root of 2. Let's look at the next question. Here we given negative 3 times fourth root of 81. So we write down negative 3 81 and its fourth root. So again our method remains the same. Prime factorization cannot be done by 2. We start off with 3. 81 divided by 3 is 27. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we write down the factors inside the radical, that is all the 4 3's. Now the index given is 4. So we have to make a group of 4 numbers inside the radical to make them move outside. So here all the 4 can be clubbed together and they come out as a single 3, and inside the radical we are left with nothing. So we don't put the radical sign. So negative 3 times 3, that is negative 9, is the final answer. I hope simplifying radical expressions with numbers only is easy now. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.